Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into empathy.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about Ron W Rathbun's The Essence of Empathy,
Right.
which you recommended. And I have to say, you picked a fascinating topic. This book dives into some pretty heady stuff.
It does. It is.
Like the Kelee, this connection between our minds and bodies that Rathbun says is like at the very heart of empathy.
Yeah, it's a real thought-provoking concept.
Yeah.
We often throw the word empathy around, but Rathbun takes it to a whole new level.
Right, right.
It's not just about, feeling sorry for someone. It's
Yeah.
about this deeper energy that shapes our interactions, even our sense of self.
Absolutely. And he starts off by defining empathy in a really unique way, calling it the essence of the Kelee.
Hmm.
And it's like this bridge between our logical brain and our emotional mind.
Yeah.
And he even breaks it down into selfless
Yeah.
and selfish, depending on whether it's coming from a place of genuine connection or ego.
So important. Yeah.
Yeah.
That distinction is so important because you think about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where someone was sharing something difficult
Right.
and you knew you should feel empathetic,
Yeah.
but it felt more like you were going through the motions?
Mm-hmm.
Like your head was in it,
Yeah.
but your heart wasn't.
Totally. Sometimes I feel like I'm just trying to say the right thing
Yeah.
instead of like really connecting with the other person's experience.
Right.
It's like there's this block between what I know I should be feeling and what I'm actually feeling.
Mm.
Is that what Rathbun's getting at with this selfish empathy?
He argues that selfish empathy is when we're more concerned with our own ego,
Mm.
how we appear, or even,
Right.
using the situation to our advantage.
Yeah.
So it's like we're using empathy as a tool to get something,
Hmm.
whether it's validation, praise,
Right.
or even just to avoid feeling uncomfortable. And he contrasts this with selfless empathy, which comes from a
Right.
deeper, more genuine place of connection.
So it's about the motivation behind our empathy.
Exactly.
Are we truly trying to understand and share the other person's experience?
Yeah.
Or are we more focused on ourselves?
Exactly. And this is where the Kelee comes into play. Rathbun describes it as an electrochemical field. But I think a simpler way to understand it is as that feeling of deep connection, that spark of recognition when you truly get someone else.
Yeah.
It's like your minds are resonating on the same frequency.
So it's less about a physical thing
Right.
and more about this intangible energy that flows between people.
Right. It's like a bridge between your inner world and the outer world.
Hmm.
And according to Rathbun, the Kelee isn't just responsible for empathy, it's also the source of consciousness itself. It's what allows us to experience the world and make sense of our place in it.
Whoa, so he's linking the Kelee to like the very essence of what it means to be human.
Yes.
That's a pretty big claim.
It is, but it makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If the Kelee is this fundamental force that connects us to each other and the world around us, maybe strengthening it is the key to living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to see why you picked this book.
Yeah.
But hold on, if the Kelee is so important, why haven't we heard more about it?
Yeah.
And how do we even know it exists?
Those are great questions. Rathbun addresses this in the book,
Okay.
explaining that while the Kelee isn't a physical thing we can easily measure,
Yeah.
its effects are felt throughout our lives.
Right.
Think about those moments of instant connection.
Yeah.
That gut feeling that you understand someone on a deeper level.
Uh-huh.
He believes those are glimpses of the Kelee at work.
So it's like we all have this potential for deep connection, but we might not be aware of it or know how to tap into it. Is that where Kelee meditation comes in? I remember seeing that in chapter titles.
Exactly. Rathbun dedicates a good portion of the book to this concept, describing it as a practice that helps us become more attuned to our inner world and cultivate our connection to the Kelee.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before we get into Kelee meditation, let's take a step back and talk about why we should even care about the Kelee. What does this have to do with me and how I live my life?
Well, think about your relationships. How often do you feel truly seen and understood by the people around you? How often do you feel that deep connection, that sense of belonging?
Good point. I'd say it happens sometimes, but not as often as I'd like. Is Rathbun saying the Kelee is the missing link?
It's a big piece of the puzzle for sure. He suggests that strengthening our connection to the Kelee can lead to more authentic and fulfilling relationships,
Yeah?
greater self-awareness, and even a deeper sense of purpose.
That makes sense. After all, if the Kelee is this source of empathy and consciousness, it stands to reason that a stronger connection to it would have a positive impact on our lives.
Absolutely. And he doesn't stop there. He even delves into this concept of empathetic looping, which is when we try to merge our thoughts with another person to feel accepted.
Hmm.
But he
Yeah.
questions whether that's truly empathy or something else altogether.
Wait, so trying too hard to connect can actually backfire.
That's what Rathbun suggests.
Okay.
He argues that empathetic looping can lead to codependency and a loss of our own sense of self. It's like we're trying to become the other person instead of meeting them where they are.
So it's about finding that balance between connection and individuality.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I have to admit, my head's spinning a little bit with all these new concepts,
Yeah.
but it's definitely making me think about empathy in a whole new light.
It's a lot to take in, for sure. But I think it's worth it. Rathbun challenges us to move beyond our superficial understanding of empathy and explore its deeper implications.
Yeah.
And he provides us with tools like Kelee meditation to help us cultivate that connection and transform our lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I'm definitely intrigued by this Kelee meditation idea, but I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what the Kelee actually is.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it's not a physical thing.
Right.
So is it more like a feeling,
Yeah.
an intuition?
You're on the right track. It's not something that you can see or touch.
Right.
But Rathbun suggests we all have a sense of it.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Have you ever met someone
Yeah.
and instantly felt like you've known them forever?
Uh-huh.
Or had a gut feeling about something that turned out to be true?
Yeah. I definitely have those moments where I just click with someone.
Right.
Or something just feels intuitively right. Is he saying those are examples of the Kelee?
Exactly. He believes those are glimpses of the Kelee at work.
Okay.
Those moments when we're tapping into that deeper connection with ourselves and the world around us. And what's fascinating is that he connects the Kelee not only to empathy, but also to the development of consciousness itself.
So he's saying that this ability to connect,
Yes.
to empathize,
Yeah.
is actually woven into the very fabric of who we are as humans.
That's what he proposes. And Kelee meditation is his way of helping us intentionally strengthen that connection.
Okay, so let's dive into this Kelee meditation thing. What does it actually involve? Is it like other types of meditation?
It shares some similarities with mindfulness practices,
Okay.
but the focus is different. Instead of simply observing our thoughts and feelings, Kelee meditation encourages us to shift our awareness from the thinking mind to the feeling mind.
So it's about moving away from that constant mental chatter and tuning into our emotions.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a deeper awareness of our inner world, our emotions, our intuition, and that's where the connection to the Kelee strengthens. Rathbun even provides specific steps and techniques in the book to guide you through the process.
Interesting. So it's not just sitting there with your eyes closed.
Right.
It's a process of directing your attention inward.
Right. And he argues that by practicing Kelee meditation regularly,
Yeah.
we can actually strengthen our Kelee, making us more empathetic and compassionate individuals.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all this ties together. But I have a question. We've talked about selfless and selfish empathy and now empathetic looping. Are these all connected to the Kelee in some way?
That's a great observation. And yes, Rathbun sees them as all interconnected. He suggests that when we're operating from a place of selfish empathy or getting caught in empathetic looping, we're actually weakening our connection to the Kelee.
Because we're not being genuine in our interactions.
Right.
We're more focused on ourselves than on the other person.
Precisely. And when we do that, we're essentially blocking the flow of that connective energy. But when we cultivate selfless empathy, that genuine desire to understand others, we're strengthening our Kelee and allowing that energy to flow freely.
So it's almost like the Kelee is this wellspring of empathy and compassion within us.
Yeah,
And it's up to us to choose how we tap into it.
that's a great way to put it. And I think that's a really empowering message. It means we have the ability to cultivate our empathy and create more meaningful connections in our lives.
Okay, this is all starting to make more sense, but there's still one thing I'm struggling with. Earlier, you mentioned that the Kelee is the source of consciousness. How does that fit into all of this?
That's where things get really interesting. Rathbun argues that consciousness isn't just something we're born with, it's something that's constantly evolving and expanding through our interactions with the world and with others. And he believes the Kelee is the driving force behind that evolution.
So it's like the Kelee is this bridge between our individual consciousness and something larger,
Right.
something that connects us all.
Exactly. And he even suggests that as we strengthen our Kelee, we contribute to the evolution of consciousness as a whole.
Whoa. That's a pretty mind-blowing idea.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's a bit hard to wrap my head around. Can you give me an example of how this might play out in everyday life?
Sure. Imagine you're having a disagreement with someone. If you approach the situation from a place of selfish empathy, you're more likely to get defensive, try to prove your point, or even shut down emotionally. You're essentially blocking that connection.
Mm,
But if you can tap into your Kelee, that deeper wellspring of empathy, you're more likely to listen with an open heart.
right.
Try to understand their perspective and find common ground. And in doing so, you're not only strengthening your own Kelee,
Wow.
you're also contributing to a more compassionate and understanding world.
That's a powerful image. So it's not just about feeling good.
Yeah.
It's about making a real difference in the world.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Rathbun's work so compelling. He's not just offering us a feel-good theory.
Yeah.
He's presenting us with a challenge and a path forward. He's saying that we all have the potential to be more empathetic, more compassionate, more connected, and that by cultivating those qualities, we can create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
Okay, I'm sold. But let's get back to practicality for a second. If someone wants to start exploring their own Kelee and developing this selfless empathy, where do they begin?
Well, the first step is self-awareness. Rathbun stresses the importance of understanding our own emotions, our motivations, and our patterns of behavior. He suggests journaling to deepen that self-awareness.
So it's about getting to know ourselves better,
Exactly.
understanding our own inner landscape before we can truly connect with others.
Exactly. And once we have that foundation of self-awareness, we
Yeah.
can start to explore Kelee meditation, which can help us to tap into that deeper wellspring of empathy within us.
Okay, so it's a journey, but it sounds like a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so exciting about Rathbun's work. He's not offering us a quick fix,
Yeah.
but rather a path of continuous growth and discovery.
Right.
He's inviting us to embark on a lifelong exploration of empathy and its transformative power in our lives.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to dive deeper into this. But before we wrap up, I have one more question about this Kelee. Rathbun describes it as an electrochemical field. Is there any scientific basis for this, or is it purely a theoretical concept?
That's a great question. And while Rathbun's work leans heavily on spirituality and personal experience, there's actually a growing body of scientific research that supports his ideas. For example, neuroscientists have identified specific areas of the brain, like the mirror neuron system, that are thought to be involved in empathy. And studies have shown that practices like meditation can actually change the structure and function of the brain,
Wow.
leading to increased empathy and compassion.
So there's a real biological basis for this connection we're talking about.
It seems so. And that's what makes this whole concept of the Kelee so fascinating. It bridges the gap between science and spirituality,
Right.
suggesting that empathy isn't just some woo-woo idea.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental aspect of our biology and our humanity.
Yeah, it really is amazing to think that something as intangible as empathy could actually have roots in our biology.
It is fascinating, isn't
It
it?
makes you wonder if we're just scratching the surface of, what we know about the human mind and its potential.
Absolutely. And I think that's what Rathbun is trying to get across in this book. He's challenging us to expand our understanding of empathy, to see it not just as a feeling, but as this fundamental force that really shapes our lives
Yeah.
and the world around us.
At the beginning of this deep dive, I had no idea what the Kelee was. Now I'm seeing it everywhere. It's like this hidden language that's been there all along, but I just didn't know how to decipher it.
I love that. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. It's like we all have this capacity for empathy, this connection to something larger,
Yeah.
but we often just lose sight of it.
Yeah, in the hustle and bustle of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what can we do to reconnect with that sense of connection, to strengthen our Kelee and become more empathetic individuals?
Well, Rathbun offers a lot of different suggestions in the book.
Yeah.
He really emphasizes the importance of self-care, creating space in our lives for reflection, introspection.
Yeah.
He also encourages us to cultivate gratitude, to focus on the positive aspects of our lives and the people around us.
That makes sense. It's hard to be empathetic when you're feeling stressed or burnt out or overwhelmed.
Exactly. And he also encourages us to engage in acts of kindness, both big and small, whether it's volunteering our time, donating to a cause we believe in, or simply offering a helping hand to someone in need. These acts not only benefit others, but they also strengthen our own capacity for empathy.
So it's a win-win. We're helping others and ourselves at the same time.
Precisely. And ultimately, I think that's the key message of Rathbun's work, that empathy isn't just a nice-to-have quality.
Right.
It's an essential ingredient for a fulfilling and meaningful life. It's what connects us to each other, to our communities, and to the world around us.
It's interesting to think about all the ways we experience empathy in our lives. It's not just about feeling sorry for someone or understanding their pain.
Right.
It's also about sharing in their joy, celebrating their successes, and connecting with them on a deeper level.
Absolutely. Empathy encompasses a whole spectrum of emotions and experiences.
Yeah.
And as we cultivate our empathy, we open ourselves up to a richer, more meaningful existence.
Well, I think this has been one of the most thought-provoking deep dives we've done yet.
Oh, good.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of empathy and its importance in my life.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration. Rathbun's book offers a wealth of insights and practices that you can continue to delve into.
I definitely will. And for anyone listening, if you're looking for a way to deepen your connections, cultivate more compassion in your life, and maybe even change the world, I highly recommend checking out The Essence of Empathy. It's a journey worth taking.
Couldn't agree more. And who knows, maybe as we all cultivate our empathy, we can create a ripple effect that spreads kindness and understanding throughout the world.
Now, that's a thought worth holding on to.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into empathy. Until next time, keep exploring.